special episode of CCTV. I'm Ada McKay.
And I'm Ryan Green. We hope you've been having a great week so far.
Before we get back to the rest of our news, let's throw it off to Clayton and Taz with our top story.
Taz here with Miss Goya. So, how do you think railroads have affected the world today?
Well, I think railroads are great. In fact, Obama was thinking about starting like kind of one of those bullet trains all the way to San Francisco, and I would really like that a lot if they built a bullet train that made it possible for me to go to San Francisco very quickly, as opposed to, what is it, like 6 or 8 hour drive by car. So I'm all about trains. Trains are great.
Nice response.
Shelby Swanson, and I take the train. I'm Mildred Williams, and I take the railroad.
Hey guys, I'm a typical teenage girl, and I love the trains. Illy them, wow. If you were living in the 18 and 1900s, would you want to be working on the railroads?
No. I've seen movies about how hard they had to work and the grunt labor that was put into that, and a lot of times it was more like Chinese slave labor. I can't imagine it was too much fun. I would have liked to own the railroad, but not work on it.
Okay. Thank you, that was Mr. Geiger.
You're still talking to your hair, bud.
Okay, do you remember your first time on a train?
I don't know about the first time, but I remember taking the train to jury duty whenever I need to go.
Thanks, Clayton and Taz. Students, please note, railroads are necessary for the efficient functioning of a modern economy. No other transportation can handle the bulk shipping necessary for an industrial economy with the speed and efficiency of a modern diesel-electric locomotive.
Let's throw it off to Emily Moynihan with CCTV Light. Good morning, Dawns. I hope you've had a splendid week so far. Let's throw it off to Paige Haley, who will enlighten us on the aspects in which railroads affected religion. Thanks, Emily. Paige here with Jaclyn Wachs, a student from Mr. Colden's AP World class. So, Jaclyn, how did railroads affect religion?
Well, Hindus in India were introduced to the railroad by the British, which allowed them to travel to pilgrimages and holy sites more easily.
Interesting. So I know steam engines were first introduced during the Industrial Revolution in Great Britain. But when were railroads first introduced into the world, and by whom?
In 1811, John Blenkinsop designed the first successful railroad. This success led to railroad establishments in Great Britain, Ireland, the U.S., and much of Europe.
Interesting. So what was the purpose of the railroad?
Well, the purpose was to transport large bulks of goods in a faster and more efficient way. It also contributed to beneficial religious aspects.
Thanks, Jaclyn. Back to you, Emily. That's it for this week's segment of CCHS Light. I hope you have a blessed week, Dawns. Back to you, Ryan and Aiden.
Thanks, Emily. It's interesting to see the impact of railroads on culture and religion.
Now for a brand new interview from one of our furry friends. Let's throw it off to Jake.
Thanks, Aiden and Ryan. Jake here with Mr. Teddy Bier, here to talk about the impact of railroads during the Industrial Revolution. So, Teddy, tell us your story.
Well, I found my family because I was transported along the railroad, along with many other toys during the Industrial Revolution.
Wow, what a story. So, what were the positive effects of the railroads?
There were many positive effects of the railroads. The railroads helped increase safety and efficiency. For example, one of my friends, Sparkles, rest in peace Sparkles, was with her owner down in a coal mine when there was an explosion because of flammable gases.
Sorry for your loss. So, how have railroads solved the problem?
After Sparkles' incident, along with many others, the transportation of coal was changed from being done by hand to using ponies and carts on a railroad. The production of coal was increased from 2.5 million to 15 million tons by 1825. Also, cost of products decreased, which was good news for me and my furry friends. With the growing population, we had many new families to call our own, all thanks to the railroad.
So, tell us what life was like back then.
Well, many of my owners couldn't play with me as much because they were busy working in factories. I also heard news of the Transcontinental Railroad being completed. It was the largest railroad of the time, stretching all across North America.
Thanks, Teddy. Wow, what an experience. You heard it here, Dons. Back to you, Aiden guy.
Thanks, Jake. What an interesting story.
So Aiden, don't you think it's crazy how much trains still impact us today?
Well, our railroads today are still in a period of growth, consolidation, and renewed efficiency.
Wow, imagine if railroads were never invented. Where would our country's economy be?
Thanks to Blenkinsop, we'll never know. Well, let's throw it off to Mallory Smith, live at the scene of San Diego's Model Railroad Museum at Balboa Park.
Too much of anything is not good.
The railroad industry created new jobs for millions of people due to its ability to transport large quantities of goods over great distances in a short period of time. How did it do this, you might ask? Well, using coal as an example, they were able to produce it in mass quantities and transfer it over great distances in a short period of time to satisfy the growing needs for energy in the city. Another way that railroads created new jobs was by centralizing the production of goods for raw materials. Lives were expendable. It was more important to save money and save equipment than to save lives. The poor conditions of those who worked on the railroads led to periodic revolts within the working class. Although it took some time, the inevitable result of railroads during the Industrial Revolution was that it raised the standards of living for everybody worldwide.
Thanks, Mallory.
Mallory also got an exclusive interview from an employee from the museum named Jeff.
Before railroads, every town had its own time zone. There wasn't 4 time zones in the U.S. Because of the railroads and the need to coordinate things from one town to the next, 4 time zones in the U.S. were created. Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was more important to save equipment and the animals that did the pulling. Lives were very cheap. A lot of Chinese labor was used. Life was very cheap.
Okay.
That's it for this week, Dons.
We hope you learn more about the impact railroads have had on our world.
I'm Aiden McKay,
And I'm Ryan Green.
signing off.